Alright guys, we may have mentioned it before, but the engine mounts on these 120s, particularly around the 07, 08 models, you know, probably anything older, but I'm just mentioning they're the most common ones we see. We don't see many 06, we mainly see 07s, 08s, obviously some 09s, and it seems to be the 07, 08s, the engine mounts. Now it's not a safety or reliability factor, the engine mounts. It's more of a comfort. You get a vibration through the vehicle as described in our other videos. So basically, particularly when it's cold, you'll start it up, and when you put into drive or reverse, you'll feel a vibration through the car. Now, don't think you don't need your injectors replaced if they haven't been done. It's a combination problem. It's partly to do with possibly the seats leaking, the injectors are old and flogged, worn out, 13 years old. You definitely need those. But the other half of the job is the engine mounts. The engine mounts are worth about, I don't know, list price is about 120 bucks each or something like that. So they're not too expensive for what they are. They're pretty good value for money, I think. The genuine Toyota ones are the only way to go. And you're looking at quite a few $100 labour. It's a bit of a painful job, quite a painful job. So contact us and I can organise that with our 4x4 Diesel Workshop partners to get your engine mounts replaced. Or you can watch this video and we'll give you a bit of direction, and we'll try and keep it short, but while trying to keep the information in there on there's different procedures you can use to change engine mounts. It's whatever works for you, and we're going to do lots more of these like other repairs we're doing on these vehicles and share some of that information with you. What's happened on this vehicle so far to make us start changing the engine mounts? We've disconnected the battery, okay? We disconnect the battery because we're removing the alternator to access the engine mount from this side, okay? That hasn't happened yet. You need to get the vehicle off the ground like this, right? So whether it's a hoist or jacking it up or whatever, because you're going to need to get underneath to get to at least one of the engine mounts. So get it off the ground, get the wheels off for access, because we need to get in through here, remove that. That's why the battery's disconnected. Sorry, it's a bit dark in there. Let's turn the light on. Better with the light on in it. Anyway, we're going to get in there. If you want to see how to replace the alternator here, we've got an alternator, full alternator R&R video. I'm not sure if it's out yet. It goes for about 40 or 50 minutes. There might be a couple of different versions. Please be aware. I was doing it a bit like a DIY on the roadside, and fiddling around and fumbling around, almost trying to make it hard as possible. Obviously, I can get the belt off. We've got a couple of different versions. We've got the one where I'm trying to show you how difficult it can be for your first time getting that belt off. You do it from the top. I can do it in about 20 seconds, as you can see in one of the videos, but the other one I'm there umming and ahhing and fumbling around, trying to show you what it's going to be like for you on the roadside. So maybe get some practice at it. But look, watch that video if you want to see how to R&R the alternator, and with a whole lot of information there, because we're going to access to get to this engine mount, which is down just there. You can see it, right? Kind of thing, right? And it's going to be hard to show you all these points, so I'm going to come back to you with a bit more information on, you know, this is how we did that, this and that. All right, you can see it around this side as well. Luckily on this one, those plastic protections are missing. You can see the nut up on top of the engine mount there. That needs to come off, and you can see the mounting bolts, whatever. So it's a pretty straightforward job. It's just mainly really fiddly. It's quite fiddly to get in there, to be quite honest, very fiddly. Yeah, a little bit of oil on the bottom of the turbo. Don't worry about it too much. It's a common thing. We're not worried about stuff like that, okay? We'll have some more information for you shortly. Okay, look at that. The alternator is out, and the reason the battery's disconnected, you can see that wire just hanging there, right? So it's all good. Alternator out, so the access to get it out is going to be through this way. Right, but if we come and have a look around this way, you can see that top nut's been removed off the top of the mount there, and now the difficulty is getting to all the other nuts and bolts, and it's going to be, as you can see, very difficult to show you. So it's one of those things you're just going to have to fiddle around with and figure out, depending what tools and skills you've got. Mainly accessible from underneath up through here, and a little bit through, maybe, you know, you can get your arm through this way a little bit, a few different ways, whatever. Different strokes for different folks, so whatever works for you, getting those bolts undone. And then eventually we're going to have to use the engine crane to hold the engine and bring it up a little bit to get those mounts out. Show you a bit more information shortly. So fiddling around, trying to get in there. That's the challenge of the job that can take hours and may include a few swear words, may help. Oh, yes, you're on. Fun and games. Many swear words may help. Now we're in at the passenger side, so the other side, you know, maybe up to close to an hour after, you know, yeah, by the time you get the alternator out and muck around getting the bolts out at the moment. Okay, so the top, the 17mm is the nut up on top of the engine mount there. You can see middle of the picture, that's been removed. And you can see the bolts against the block. They're going to come off to the mounting bracket to the block just to make it easier to get the engine mount out of the way. There's different ways to do it, but that's a very good way to do it, and it makes it easier. Sometimes a little bit more, a few more bolts, a little bit more work makes it easier. The other thing we've noticed down here, someone's tried to bog that up. I'll call it bog it up because that's a bit of a bog job. So we're going to clean that up, remove that plug. That's in other videos. It's called the oil leak, or check the other videos called all the oil leaks or the oil leak, stuff like that. And you'll see about replacing that plug. The O-ring, I'm pretty sure I include the part number in those videos. This video is not about that. That's why I keep saying you got to watch all the videos. Lots of videos, lots of information, guys. And it's all adaptable to other makes and models as well in general. Obviously not the same part numbers. Anyway, we'll keep fiddling around getting to these bolts up in against the block there. Right, a little bit of fiddling around, got to remove the wiring and the clip, the clamp, you know, anything that's in the way, you just need to remove it. Hard to show you everything. So you've won some battles here by the looks of it. So you're having a bit of fun with those bolts there. Nice and tight. This car came from Mackay in Queensland, so sometimes things are a little bit tighter than the rest of them. Now we're up the top and taking the cover off the intercooler because we're going to use the hook here to support the weight of the engine and bring it up slightly so we can get access to getting those engines mounts out. You can see now why, this is why the alternator's not there now, because this is the access point for that engine mount. You can do it other ways, you know. You can pull the airbox out and the intercooler off and the turbo, you know, there's different ways to do things. Depends what other works you're doing at the same time, but this is what we're doing, is sharing you this procedure. Okay, so, as I always say, okay, so here we go. We've got the engine supported with the special tools and equipment called a chain and a crane, right? And we can lift the engine up just slightly. And I don't know if we, top secret tip here, top secret tip. Oh, let me see if I get permission to tell you the top secret tip. We're gonna have to call a board meeting. So after careful consultation with the board members, we can tell you there's a dowel down here on the engine mount, right? And they get a bit stuck sometimes, particularly if they're from Queensland and you want to give it a bit of a spray with some Inox, CRC, WD, whatever you want to use, right? So you can see down there, the middle bolt's moved out a little bit. We'll go down the side here. Have a bit of a look what's going on. See the bracket from above's lifted up. Bada bing, right? Right, you can see that little dowel in the middle there, right? Here we go, see if I can hold it and see that? See that rusty thing? Got sprayed yesterday, I think, or this morning, whatever. Anyway, bada bing. Yeah, so after fiddling around for a while at this side, it's been thrown into the too hard basket, and we go around the other side and get the other side in, hopefully, and then come back to this one. It's like, you know, you got to take a break sometimes when things aren't going to plan, and this happens with these. Sometimes you can have a good day on them. Sometimes they're an absolute pain. So we're going to keep the price open on these. I'm going to say it's around about the $400 labour, more or less, you know, depending how we go, because we can charge you the top price for the worst case scenario, but then, you know, I'm happy to do that, but that probably wouldn't be fair. So I'm going to give you an average price, you know, depends how you're paying for it as well and all that, you know, pay cash straight away type thing is good. If you need to pay it off, it's going to cost double. No, we don't do that anyway. It's all good. No money, no car. Yeah, over the other side. Okay, this one's out on the ground. That's what you're looking at. That's the old engine mount. Okay, that's why they're pretty good value at about 100. I think the list is 110 plus GST. They're not bad. Some dealers charge a lot more for them. So you pick up only. We can supply the engine mounts in Victoria. Pick up only. We don't send them. They're heavy, so it's not really worth it. You know what it costs you in postage for the saving. Let's have a look under here. You can see the new engine mount. Might not focus too well, but it's in place. There's a cover that goes over the top. Sorry about the blurriness. The camera doesn't know where to focus. There you go. The bracket on the block comes off to make it a bit easier and then goes back on again. Anyway, this one, you guys, you're just going to have to figure it out. It's a bit hard to show you, and there's always variables. There's no set procedure on what works best. It's a bit of a fiddle job, that's for sure. Alright, so still working around this side. Basically, we tried a few different things for your information, and basically the engine mount bracket above the engine mount that goes to the engine block has to come off. Okay, so there's no point. You can only go to a certain height, and that is just before the fan hits the fan shroud, and then you remove that bracket above the engine mount and then unbolt the engine mount, and you'll be able to lift the engine mount out. Try doing it with the bracket in place. You could probably do it, but you'd have to do a whole heap of extra work, like removing the fan shroud, and possibly other components I haven't thought about yet, so that you don't damage those. So yeah, definitely need to take those mounting brackets off the block as well, in our experience so far. Alright, so new engine mounts are in position, alternator's back on, belt's back on, battery's reconnected. We're finished up here, so let's go up and have a bit of a look-see and see if there's anything else we can learn from this job and this video. There's also going to be another video, I'm not sure when this one's getting released, but there'll also be more engine mount videos. So if you haven't already, subscribe and turn the bell on. Hopefully the next video might have some more better information. We'll get around here and have a bit of a look-see. So all bolted up in position. In case you press fast forward, I'm going to say it again. That main axle, it depends what jobs you're doing on the vehicle, right? Now, if you had the turbo off, which is here, that makes it really easy to lift the engine mount. I'd suggest if you're doing a turbo on a 120, you should probably at least change this side engine mount. But your easiest way, if it's a standalone engine mount job, is removing that alternator out the way, which you can see is all refitted again now. I don't know what else I can tell you. It's a very fiddly job. Hopefully you got some information and tips from watching this one. We'll go around the other side just quickly. You can see that new mount there. Don't forget to do your nuts up. Like that, don't forget to do your nuts up. I don't know what else I can tell you. You know, you can see all the bolts, you can see the mounting brackets mount against the block there, and you've got your bolts mounting the mount to the chassis itself. Don't forget to tighten them all up, just double check everything. It's a very fiddly job. That mount there comes out through this here at the lower side through this gap, and as I said, we're going to fix up that oil leak, that O-ring cap thing there as well. Anyway guys, I'm out of here. That's engine mounts on a 120 Prado. Please give us a thumbs up if you got something out of that, and as I said, subscribe, turn the bell on. There might be a better engine mount video coming very soon. See ya.